Well, welcome everybody to the Twitter space about the Polkadot Blockchain Academy. It's wonderful to have you all here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody wherever you are in the world. We're excited to share with you about the Academy and also give you the experience of the previous students who've already had two very successful cohorts, and the alumni from these cohorts will be sharing their experience. But let us first hear a quick summary. What is the Academy about? And I would like to pass it on to one of our colleagues, Dan Shields, to give you some brief summary of what the Academy is.
Well, hey guys, I go by Nuke, and I'm sharing here the office with Marta, who's my colleague as well. So you'll be hearing her from the same line. In fact, I think I'm under Marta's account. So hi everybody, I'm Marta.
Hi everyone.
So what is the Academy about? Here is a rigorous in-person academic program to get you from competent engineer out to a Web3 master craftsman. We'd like to get you to the point in which you can really accelerate what Web3 is all about. And hopefully that'll get you energized into really becoming a practitioner and innovator in this space.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nuke, for that. And how can actually applicants prepare for the Academy? Can you elaborate a little bit on this?
So here, our craftsmen are craftsmen of Rust in particular. We do a very Rust-heavy engineering program. And as a matter of fact, I think we'll get in a little bit about the applications process. But here, the barrier to entry is a Rust exam. And to pass this, we expect you to be, at the very minimum, reasonably well-versed and comfortable in all the basics of Rust. And really will push you through this exam as a learning exercise as well, to go more into the medium to advanced topics that Rust has to offer, because this is what we'll use and really grind on together in the context of the Academy. Okay. So if I gave you any advice, it's to start now, if you haven't already, learning Rust. It's an awesome language, the most loved language, I believe, according to the Stack Overflow's developer survey every year, and only accelerating. It also happens to be really good for the kind of things that we're building. So Rust is the best place to start.
Wonderful. Well, this is very good advice for everybody of us. And actually, from the experience of the alumni, we have Julia who has joined us. Julia, what has been some of the most memorable things that you have experienced at the Academy?
Hi everyone, can you hear me? I'm not sure. This microphone is on. Sometimes I will. Oh Jesus Christ. Hi. Now it works. Well, memorable. It is a very interesting thing, as we spent like few years in a pandemic doing everything online, and most courses we take nowadays are online. Just having this in-person experience changes everything, because you get to actually interact with your colleagues and they become your friends. Some of my colleagues from Cambridge are still my friends, very good friends, and also with the instructors and TAs, and you can actually ask them questions and have a more personal relationship with them rather than just being in a forum or an online space. And it is very intense, and I think it's getting more intense with time. So you should be aware of that. Like, it is really a place you should focus. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, I remember in Cambridge, I called my dad in the first week because I was like, oh, I haven't liked being in a classroom for years, and now I do again. So kind of a bold statement, but I hope you feel the same.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Going back to things becoming a bit more intense, Nuke, can you share a little bit more about actually what is expected from the students on a day-to-day basis? How many hours do they commit during the day while they're attending the Academy?
So this is definitely a full-time affair. We'll be on the ground doing classes every weekday from the entire working day. You'll definitely be working with us together. So the expectation is to be present and to be attentive for that time. as well as we'll have some homework. So things that you'll be doing after class at home and independent of the groups together. This can extend somewhat into the weekend. So the overall picture is that for 5 weeks, we're going to really grind together. And it's going to be well worth it in the end. That intensity really is a crucible that has refined a lot of people into some amazing engineers. At least I think that we're seeing the first fruits of this happening. So the expectation is not to push yourself beyond the brink, but we're definitely going to be pushing you to exceed your normal daily flow, I would say, in a good way. And it's a fun way. We'll support you there as well.
Fantastic. This is great. And then I also want to see a little bit about the logistical arrangements. So what can the applicants expect when they are coming to the academy? What is covered, what is not? Marta, can you help us out with this one a little bit?
Yeah, sure thing. So we cover the costs of the accommodation and some of the meals that whilst you're in the academy, and also the obviously the lectures and the tuition and so on of the course, and learning materials, things like that. So there are certain things that we'll ask you to make sure that you have, for example, on your laptops and your machines, but we'll send you all that information before you arrive, so you're well prepared. And once you're there, you'll be staying in a lovely hotel, and we'll have the meals for you. We also have lots of other things that you can do, some things like social activities and side events and things like that. So it's like a really great experience for everybody.
This is awesome. People have really a well-rounded experience, and the side events that are being organized throughout the academy really offer a great networking opportunity for everybody within the time that they're there spending. And I think it's great. That's great value in collaborating. Also something that Julia was referring to in terms of building relationships, building friendships, etc. And Julia also has come back as a technical teaching assistant for the academy. So Julia, can you maybe elaborate a little bit on that? What benefits also professionally has given the academy for you?
Yeah, so I really love cryptography, and that's kind of how I got into this whole blockchain thing, because it's like a straightforward use of cryptography. Yeah, and then the cryptography session needed someone to be a TA and try to take care of the slides and lecture about fancy new things like zero knowledge proofs and whatever. So I volunteered, and thank God they accepted me. But it's been great. Like I like teaching, and I like the whole experience. Like this very stressful sometimes because we're used to dealing with a bunch of machines that how it works, and then you're in a room with 75 people and you're like, Jesus Christ, this is a lot harder than dealing with the machines. But it's nice overall. Like you learn a lot about yourself, learn a lot about other people, and how to convey a message better in what works and what doesn't work, what people understand oh Jesus Christ, understand straightforwardly and what they don't. Yeah, it is a weird but good experience, I guess. Yeah, I totally recommend. And it helps you learn. I mean, when you have a lot of people asking you stuff and you try to explain them things, you learn a lot more than when you just like reading it by yourself, because you have to think in a way that you're not used to thinking. Yeah, overall positive experience.
Great. Thank you, Julia. And we have Pierre, who's joined us, also an alumni from a recent wave of the Academy. Pierre, can you maybe tell us a little bit more about a typical day of the Academy? How does it look like so that people get a better understanding?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me fine. So a typical day. I usually wake up super early at the academy. I used to wake up at 6:30 and go for a run. The day is usually pretty long. You spend a lot of time, behind the computer. So for me, it was important to work out a little bit before the class. And the good thing about the academy is that we are all hosted in the same hotel. So you'll find a buddy to go rock climbing or running or do some yoga or whatever you want. And you have to commit because you have to go with someone. So you'll be forced to do your workout every day. And then we have usually breakfast at the hotel where we get to speak with, chat with other students. And we will all go together in small groups to the university. In Buenos Aires, where I was, the university was 20 minutes away from the hotel. And it was summertime back in January. So it was a nice walk in a very nice neighborhood. We'd get there at the university around 9, time for some coffee chat with other students and TAs, and we got there early. And I think, if I remember correctly, we had two classes in the morning and 2 classes in the afternoon. And usually they were all followed up with some workshops or small assignments, some ungraded assignments during the day. I think and there will be also a lot of breaks in between classes so that you get to talk to TA and make sure you can follow up on some stuff that you haven't fully understood, and spend some time with other students at the university. We were lucky enough to be in a very beautiful historical building in Buenos Aires with a large main room, high ceiling, with a lot of space to either work or relax. During the day, we will also have some fireside chats or other events also organized in the evening. And usually we will go back to the hotel later in the afternoon. Depending on the day of the week, you might have some homework to finish, or you want to work on your assignments. So later in the week, when you are given some assignments, you will usually spend some time in your room or in the lobby of the hotel working with other students on this stuff. That's, I think, about what a day or a week looks like at the academy.
Yes, it is pretty intense, isn't it? And all this hard work and all the knowledge that students are gaining. Tim, can you maybe talk a little bit about what are the opportunities after the academy?
Sure. Hey guys, I look after recruiting students into the academy and then also helping people to find purpose in the ecosystem afterwards, right? So the academy so far has been really successful in helping us find some core engineers for Parity itself. Increasingly, we're working more and more with the ecosystem to help engineers to find positions within parachain teams or within earlier stage teams, and we're also trying to cultivate the next breed of founders for the ecosystem, right? So we're trying to seed people with the knowledge they need to help become, as Gav put it, a dangerous blockchain engineer in our ecosystem. So to give you numbers, something like 17 engineers that we've hired into core tech at Parity from the academy so far, and then similar numbers into other areas of Parity, and then also into the ecosystem. So from wave 2, we currently have a load of people. Sort of 25 of the students are still interviewing within the ecosystem and within Parity for positions. So there's lots of activity in the ecosystem, lots of need to hire even in this marketplace. So it's all of that's really encouraging.
Yes, it is really a fantastic opportunity to get into the Web3 and really gain a lot of the solid knowledge to not only build an app, but actually build the future of the Web3. So it's really, really exciting. Anouk, do you mind actually walking us through a little bit more of the curriculum? So maybe more in depth, what are the topics covered during the academy?
Was that for me?
Yes, Nick.
Yes. So what topics are covered? I would encourage you, I think hopefully somewhere in this thread, there's a link to the Academy's website. Otherwise, that's polkadot.network/developer/academy, I believe. And here you'll find an outline, at least very briefly, of our curriculum. It's composed of 8 modules, and we'll go from fundamentals that start with cryptography and economics and game theory, out into blockchains, and then on up the stack. So there's foundationally, we're going to be going over a lot of very important things that are stuff that everyone should know conceptually, and build from there all these really more complex systems. So the point of this program is to be very broadly covering all that you need to know. We want to fill all the gaps that we've seen develop in a lot of typical, more contract specifically focused engineers, where you might be missing some of the know-how and the understanding of how the systems underneath what you're using work. So here, really, the content and the curriculum is going to help you understand really blockchains from the ground up, and then how to compose blockchains more than just how to use them as an engineer.
Yes, this is great. Thank you. So a lot of real solid knowledge that you will gain from the academy. And then Marta, can I just follow up on a more logistical question on the side? How many actual spaces are there? Are there limited spaces for each academy?
Yeah, sure. So for the 3rd edition of the academy in Buckley, we're looking to have about 75 students, and I think that's probably going to be around the number that we'll stick to. It's a really nice number with people coming from lots of different places, and I don't mean sort of geographically, but like different experiences, different ages, different backgrounds and ways that they got into blockchain and into this, interested in this space. So about 75 places is how many we're looking to hire. We're looking to have on the course.
Thank you. Yes. So places are limited and do apply quickly. You can apply online, and the link will be provided below, polkadot.network/academy. Yes, spots are limited, so do haste. We have some new speakers joining us here today. I'm really excited to introduce Sasha, who's been working with the academy, and he's been with us from the onset. Sasha, how do you see some of the benefits of the academy for the students in terms of their growth?
Hey, thanks, Alexandra. Yeah, real quick, I was actually fortunate to be part of the first cohort as a teaching assistant, also helping with a bunch of things to do with the curriculum, fleshing out lecture material, workshops, and all that stuff. So, I mean, I kind of just want to add to what Nuke was saying, which is that, this is a curriculum that's really designed to empower you as blockchain engineers. And specifically, it's kind of split up into, I would from my perspective, like 2 main parts. The first being like sort of blockchain agnostic, and then diving into Polkadot, right? And I think it's really important for those listening here to appreciate the complex technologies that make Polkadot, and the things specifically that we use to build Polkadot and its parachains, where we are really pushing the limits of Rust. We are really pushing the limits and the capabilities of WebAssembly. But the beauty of the Academy is that when you start, you really are kind of stepped through the foundational pieces in order to appreciate what Polkadot really is on a technical level. So we don't you really like learn those foundations from perspectives such as blockchain 101, economics, game theory, and then slowly easing yourself into learning about how Substrate offers a really powerful framework to build blockchains, and then by extension, how Substrate works to build parachains that connect to Polkadot. So I think that's like that for me. That is the coolest thing about this academy from a curriculum perspective, which is that you will be learning super valuable skills and appreciate the things we do specifically with regards to Polkadot. So yeah, that's what I have to add to this.
Thank you, Sasha. This is really, really valuable contribution. And the next question I also want to pose to the alumni. So in addition to all this rich content that everybody will gain, what is actually the advantage of having it as an in-person event? Because it's a question that we get asked a lot. Will there be an online academy? And it's not in the plans at the moment. So it is intentionally an in-person event. And we'd like to hear from the alumni specifically, what do they feel are the advantages of having it as an in-person event? Pierre, can we start with you on this?
Yeah, sure. I think first and foremost for me, the most important thing was like all the connection that you make during the academy. You're gonna meet a lot of people passionate about the space, and live with them, for a month. So you get to know them very well, and have like a lot of like interesting discussion with them. And that's not something I think you can do, on an online experience. You're going to dedicate a month of your life, learning these things. So I think doing it in person make a lot of sense. And it doesn't happen a lot in life. At least it hadn't happened to me a lot before the academy to be in a room with like people coming from all around the world. I think we had more than 22 countries represented, maybe more, and people from different ages as well, right? As a more senior engineer, I could help, more junior engineers and provide like this, live experience that I think was also super valuable. And I got also some a lot of help and support from TA and other like people that were more experienced than me, and it was very easy to do that in person. So yeah, that's I think one of the benefits for me. Yeah, all the connections you're gonna make, and being able, to ask questions whenever you want, because everybody is in the same room, right? So that's I think that's super valuable.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Pierre. We have Nikos who's joined us, who's also an alumni. Nikos, same question to you. What has been the most advantage, do you think, of having the academy as an in-person event? Okay, not sure. I think Nikos disappeared. Julia, can I pass on the question on to you, please?
Yeah. So, of course, what was already mentioned, I think that's like the coolest part about it. But also like how immersive it is. So when you take an online course, like you go on with your life, and then you have a few hours in a day where you're taking that course, and then you go back to your normal life, right? You're not like in that experience too much, just for a few hours in a day. But when you probably in another country, very far from home, different time zone, living with all these people that are doing the same thing that you are, spending your whole day learning about a subject, that becomes your life for a month. Like you can't look at anything else. You don't have time to look at anything else, and so it gets you very excited, and you go very deep in the subject, because there's no other distraction, and I think that really helps. Like just a change of environment, and yeah, being able to solely focus on what you're doing, because nowadays we just do like 5 different things every day, and yeah, we don't really focus on them. So it's worth it to be there for a month and have this very immersive experience.
Thank you, Julia. And we see that Nikos is back with us. Nikos, what is your take on this, on the in-person aspect of the academy, even though it does really take a whole month? Okay, I think we lost Nikos again. It's fine. I'm sure he'll rejoin us soon. So yes, there's absolutely a lot of advantages of having the event as an in-person, because you have the opportunity to connect. You get to know your other colleagues very deeply, and you really have these friendships and connections for life, and you have a very, very vibrant alumni communities with a lot of initiatives and programs for them after the academy as well. And we're very, very supportive of the community, so it's really worth definitely attending the academy for the content, for the rich content that you are getting, but also for the connections and of course for the future prospect opportunities. Tim, maybe talk, I guess, getting back a little bit about the future prospect opportunities. Any tips that you can give for people who are applying?
Yeah, well, I could talk about what we look for in an application, right? So we do review every application that comes in for the academy, and so last time that was many hundreds, nearly 1,000. So and there's no, in my view, there's no hard skills that you must have to get into the academy, right? Apart from you need to be an engineer and you need to be enthusiastic about learning about this space, right? We don't need prior like professional Rust experience. Caveat: you are going to need to learn enough to get through our entrance exam. So you're going to need to be comfortable with putting a load of hours in to learn Rust before the course starts. If you don't have it, either from working from home or on passion projects or in your career. But so outside of that, we're looking for just evidence that someone is an effective engineer in their chosen field, or someone who's doing really well as an undergrad student. You don't need to have graduated yet to get onto the academy, by the way. So we look at people's LinkedIn profiles, we look at people's GitHub profiles, and whatever is provided to us in the application, right? So please make it as obvious as possible in your application who you are, what you do, what your interests are, and why you might be good for this academy, right? Why you're a good engineer, why you're interested in learning about blockchain, right? Outside of that, yeah, that's the main stuff I'd say at this point.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. This is great. Great tips for all of those who are listening in. And also from the preparation part, I mean, you were mentioning Rust, of course, the knowledge. Nuke, can I pass on the next question to you? Is there anywhere that applicants who maybe haven't connected or haven't done anything in Rust yet, or haven't coded it, is there any recommended resources that applicants could look into beforehand?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that Rust, one of the strongest things about the language is actually the community and the documentation to get people onboarded and started. So the Bible, so to speak, of Rust is the Rust book, and I highly encourage that everyone starts there. Read that thing front to back and the appendix and everything in it, and do that assignment that's within it. So in the end, you'll end up making, I believe it's like a multi-threaded HTTP server, something like this. And that's a very good exercise to help you learn the language and lots of the bips and bobs. But that's just the beginning. I would encourage you to, as well, to potentially in tandem or just afterwards use the Rustlings exercises. These are associated with this book, and they go over all the different chapters and what you're teaching to really get you practical hands-on experience. And in fact, that model is very similar to what you'll see in class together. Is we have practical material that we'll be doing instructions and lessons around, but we really get heavy about 50% of our time or more when when you include after hours, is hands-on. It's practical stuff. So we're going to be putting into use all of these things. Rustlings is a very good model to get you the flavor of what we're up to, as well as after your application is accepted, you should be able to have access to this Rust exam. And there, I know for me, it was actually a very good learning tool. You'll have some time. The time box around this will be relatively tight to make sure that we can get everybody approved and on their way to Berkeley, where our next one's going to be at. But in the meantime, really spend a lot of time with this to learn and to grow and to challenge yourself. Some of these components of the exam may or may not be optional. I think that's yet to be determined. But those extra hard parts are really things that I think just about every Rust engineer I've talked to has learned a lot from. I've heard the exam itself affectionately called Rustlings Part 2. It's the more advanced versions of some of the stuff that you go over. So I would encourage you then, yes, use the canonical Bible of Rust, the Rust book, Rustlings, and consume as much as you can about understanding Rust and go on into the exam. Maybe one other tip for those like me who like to watch a lot of videos, I would say the Crust of Rust is really good YouTube series. So if you go ahead and Google that or DuckDuckGo that or whatever you like, you'll find a lot of very more intermediate level Rust stuff once you know the basics. And this should help you get more in the mind space of how to be a true sort of Rust station, as we call ourselves, so to speak, understanding the mindset and some of the patterns that are unique to the language.
This is very, very useful. Thank you, Nuke. And while we have you on the line, can I also ask you a little bit what, in terms of type of work that the students are doing, what is expected? Is it only lectures? Is there any coursework? How is the content taught at the academy?
Yeah, so we like to use some pretty explicit terms. Lesson is what we'll end up doing together, which is embodying something that would be passive, where you're listening and really being able to ingest information, and more active, where we'll have activities and exercises. So these will be more you're getting your hands on code or potentially workshopping with someone who's leading and doing some live coding up front. In there, you'll be expected to be more proactive in your educational experience. This is coupled very tightly then with independent work. So you'll have some assignments, and some of these will be ungraded in the sense that here's a prompt and some crates in the Rust world that will throw you and something to do. So this will get you to practice those things that we've just been talking about to really ingrain how they actually make sense from an engineering perspective, more than this abstract concept or whatever that we just talked about. As well as in these assignments, they're really going to push you to test your Rust skills and to really see if you understand. It's about comprehension. Do you comprehend and really understand the things that are going on in class? And these assignments should really refine that ability and show us that you know it.
Okay, and Nick, do you think that experienced engineers will also benefit from the academy?
I don't know of any engineer that wouldn't benefit from this. Even the world-class engineers that I look up to and admire, I think have all said that have participated in this, that they've learned something themselves. And I think Julia made this great comment that teaching helps you learn as well. So even our instructors, I think you would probably back me up in saying that they're learning a lot by putting these materials together and then delivering them to our students. So I don't think that there's such thing as a too late of a coder to come in here and learn something. And if you are an experienced person and would like to apply, maybe Tim could speak to this, but I think you should. We need people who can be there to proactively help. For example, I know that we had some of our superstar students who acted like on their own accord, amazingly, as teaching assistants, so to speak, with their peers. So these were ahead of the curve, who are helping others learn and grow as well. So if you're one of these people who wants to be a +1 and help the next generation of Web3 engineers grow, come and potentially join us in that role. I'm sure you're going to come away with a positive experience and learn a lot more than just help us do our job.
Yes, absolutely. Tim, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, we will probably have a limited number of spaces where we can accommodate that. I think for more seasoned engineers who want to come and just participate in the course and be assessed, etc., like everyone else. It's awesome anyway. You know, I mean, there's no upper or lower limits to seniority on this course in terms of what we'll accept, right? So if you want to come in and continue to develop your own kind of mentoring skills whilst on this course, you can do that. There's going to be lots of people to mentor. So we really value that, and we're kind of watching that as the PBA team as well.
Thank you, Tim, for this great insights. And at the end of the academy, is there a certificate? Marta, can you let us know what's to await the students at the end?
Yeah, sure. So this is an intensive program, so we really want to celebrate the end of it in a lovely way, but we celebrate all the work and effort that everybody has put in. So at the end of the academy, we have a graduation ceremony, and where we hand out certificates. That is correct. And there are two types of certificates but everyone is celebrated. We celebrate the fact that you have come to the end of your journey, and there is a party at the end as well.
That's the best news, of course. Thank you, Martha, for this. And now, as we are getting to the end of the hour, I just want to also highlight a bit of the experience from the alumni who've been to the academy before. So maybe we'll start with Julia. Julia has been an alumni in Wave 1, but also a teaching assistant in Wave 2. For both of the waves, what has been really the highlights that spring to your minds?
Oh, highlights. Oh, I mean, they're very different experiences, right? When you're like a student, you have no idea how much effort it is to put that thing together. I think I need more time to answer this one. There's so many things.
Too many to choose from? That's always a good answer as well. Well, Pierre, let's hear whether something springs to mind when you think about your experience now. You've been to the academy in Buenos Aires.
As I said before, for me, like the highlights were like the people that I met, and like this incredible opportunity to live for like a month amongst your peers, like working on the things that you love and learning about it. So that was for sure like one of the highlights. And then I think it was amazing to learn from the best. The people teaching us were super dedicated to it, and very good teachers. So it was amazing for me to go back to school and go back to the school bench and be a student again. It had been a long time since I finished my university, so it was like amazing to be back again and be a student again.
Yes, it's always nice to keep on learning. Definitely very advantageous. Sasha, you've been a teaching assistant for the first wave. What has been the main highlights for you from that one?
I would say just the sense of like community and connecting with students, right? Like this is both inside and outside of the classroom. I think I joined Julia on the sentiment that it's hard to answer this question because there's a lot of things that maybe I'm not thinking about. But as a general comment, I mean, you're working in a tight knit group of students inside the classroom for multiple hours a day, and then you also get a chance to lay back and let loose with them after class. And I mean, that in of itself is a really valuable experience.
Yes, absolutely. That's very true. We also have some questions in the comments, and one of them that we've received is, Have you had to unlearn some of the programming language concepts to switch successfully to Substrate and Rust? Nook, I think that's the question for you.
Could you repeat that one more time for me?
Yes, sure. So have you had to unlearn some of the programming language concepts to switch successfully to Substrate and Rust?
Unlearn? No. As a matter of fact, I think that might be the wrong approach in general when you're doing programming. Many of the languages, they might even be contradictory to each other, but learning those patterns is immensely useful. So there are definitely different programming patterns and paradigms that you'll see in Rust, and different mechanisms about how to like design your programs. And specifically, this is a systems programming language because we're designing very complex systems. And more than that, it will challenge you to think generically. What do you know? We use a lot of generics, and thinking about designing abstract systems with types and traits. So I think that it will be definitely different than what you might be used to in other languages, for example, like Python and JavaScript, which don't have some of these kind of ideas, even really in the language, all that deeply. But here, I would encourage you to learn a different way, but keep in mind those things that you know, and relate to those patterns with these new patterns. So just be open for new things, I think, is the general theme of the entire academy, as a matter of fact.
Yes, exactly. Being open to learn and absorb everything that comes your way, and definitely be open to asking questions. As already our speakers have mentioned, you learn so much from your peers throughout the academy, and it's very, very beneficial in many ways. One of the themes that have been coming up for us a lot of the times is that how many highly talented people come together in one space during the academy, and you have the opportunity to not learn only from the instructors, but also from those who have come as students as well. So this is really exciting for everybody. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this Twitter space, and thank you so much to all of the speakers to attending and sharing your insights. I hope you found it very helpful. If you have any questions, do please leave them below in this Twitter space. We'll try to curate and maybe answer some of them in writing. Our third wave of the Academy is taking place in the summer, July and August, in California. It's being hosted with our collaboration with RDI Berkeley. So please do apply polkadot.network/academy. Spaces are limited, so apply very soon. Once again, thank you so much, everybody, for participating. Have a great day. Bye-bye.